my friends, thanks for being here today. This video was something I brought up on Instagram, I want to say a week-ish ago, and I was asking, what brands do you think I'm missing out on or overlooking? And I got a ton of responses on this. In some ways I realized that the Instagram crowd isn't always the YouTube crowd, because some people mention some things I definitely use all the time, but no, there were still a ton of things where I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know about these brands. So I did a haul. I did a full face haul. A lot of this came from Sephora. I just really started taking the responses that I saw repeatedly, and I thought, okay, well, that's a thing I need. That's a thing. But I could absolutely do another round of this because there were so many good suggestions. And then there were those things where maybe I've explored the brand once, but I could dive deeper into it. It was really just a nice suggestion list of video ideas, really, for me. But I took your suggestions and I thought, well, for right now, I'll do a lot of the stuff that I can get at Sephora. There is one Ulta item here. And then, like I said, I'll do this again and we can focus on some other brands too. One brand mentioned a lot was Lisa Eldridge makeup, and I did place an order, and whenever that comes in, I'll feature that in a video too. And isn't it crazy that you can be as involved with makeup and do videos as frequently as I do and still miss a lot of stuff? There's still stuff that I will see pop up on the just dropped list and I'll be like, well, maybe I'll wait and see if that turns into a big deal, you know? You can't work with everything. There's just so many products. So anyway, we're gonna get started here. One brand that was brought up over and over and over was LYS. So this is a brand available at Sephora. Look at this big honkin' foundation. It's the Triple Fix Serum Foundation with hyaluronic acid, turmeric, and ashwagandha. I'm not even familiar, but I got this in the shade MP3. I kind of thought this would be fun to sit down and just like try it with you guys first, but a few of these things I did use yesterday. But what's interesting about this brand, and this one actually has an Allure Best of Beauty award, but this brand, compared to the cost of a lot of other things sold at Sephora, it's a little lower cost. For example, this foundation was $22, whereas if this said NARS on it, it might be double that price. So it says shake well before use. I'm gonna do that. I've got my skin all prepped already. Let's see what happens here. When I used this yesterday, I felt like I had tons. So I'm gonna do not quite a full pump of this and just see what happens. If you're a dry skin person, like, I gotta say, everything that I picked up, I think it's pretty dry skin friendly. I couldn't believe the hydration on my skin after I got done applying some of these things yesterday. See how this has kind of a dewy look to it as I get it blended in? I was worried that the shade would be a hint dark, but it seems to be blending like really well. Okay, now I feel like I could go a little bit more. I could do just a little more. Maybe one true full pump is the answer with this stuff. I think I went a little bit over that the other day. But it feels kind of lightweight and thin, but not incredibly runny. But I feel like it has just kind of this glowy appearance on the skin. And it is described as a serum foundation, that's in the name. Skincare infused serum with buildable light to medium coverage. I think we're absolutely getting that medium coverage with it here. I just built it a little bit. And the areas that kind of got the most product, like up near the eye area, I'm really feeling some moisture there. I gotta say, it wore well on me yesterday. I wasn't sure if it would, just because I felt this, I don't know, extra hydrating quality to it, and I did overuse it a little bit yesterday. But I feel like I look really, really fresh with that on. And the packaging is cool, but it's like, it's really big. Like, wow. Boom. Foundation. Also, very exciting today. I just got a snow alert on my phone. It's supposed to snow today. We're gonna get our first snow of the season, several inches they're calling for. Another brand that you guys brought up is Rose Inc. I think this is a newer brand on Sephora's website, and I got several different things from this line. One of the things I got was the concealer, and it's the Soft Light Clean Dewy Hydrating Concealer. And yes, it is. It is very, very hydrating. I got it in the shade LX030. It's described as a buildable non-comedogenic concealer that visibly brightens, blurs, and contours while nourishing skin with hydrating squalane and protective vitamin E. Another thing that I may have used a bit much of at first, because, you know, you're just not really knowing what kind of coverage you're going to get out of it. I'm going to do little dots out here. My biggest dot was there. I'll use this a little bit around the nose because I got some redness still, a little on the chin. But this really, really hydrated my under eye area. I'm gonna use that beauty blender to help kind of spread it around the surface area and get it all worked in. Like, so dewy and tacky to the touch, which is kind of kind of good, kind of not good. You know what I mean? While I like a hydrated under eye, I like to easily be able to get it to a point where it can be totally set and kind of smooth, you know? Like, it's a fine line. I don't want it to be cakey and dry, but I don't want it to be sticky, because then that grabs eye makeup, okay? So I'm really trying to do less than I did yesterday and see if it'll be more easily set and kind of, you know, manipulated with a little setting powder. Like, look how glowy. Look at the surface of the skin right in this zone. Like, I am so hydrated. I feel like you can practically feel how it would feel that you touch it and there's just a little, there's some tackiness. A little less than yesterday. I'm really trying to work it in too. This is one of the most hydrating under eye concealers I have used for sure. I'm even thinking about the Tarte Maracuja Creaseless Concealer and how this is a little less thick and tacky compared to that, but it has all the hydration and more. Really interesting stuff and good quality stuff. And I mean, this time of year, I can probably take a little more hydration, but like I said, too much of it can be hard to set if you don't want to feel tacky. Santa Claus. We'll just drink out of the Santa Claus mug facing this way so it's not quite so Christmas. I got one of the LYS powders. Look how smudgy this stuff gets on my fingers. But this is the Triple Fix Translucent Setting Powder. I love the triangular shape of things. I think that's really cool. But did I say this is just a translucent shade? So I'm taking my e.l.f. small tapered brush. It doesn't kick up a ton of powder just as you put your brush in, and to the touch, I mean, it feels very like a standard powder. I wouldn't come away saying, oh, that feels so silky smooth. And it's definitely not verging on an actual powder foundation feel, you know, the ones that feel really, really creamy and a ton of pigment comes off. It's being a pressed translucent kind of mattifying powder. So you see what happened when I went over this under eye with it? It took away some of that shine and glow, and I still feel a little tacky there. Somebody out there saying, it's okay, it's okay if it feels tacky there, but it scares me just a little bit. I'm just doing light amounts on my brush and slowly kind of building it in this zone. And I'll do my T-zone as well. And the foundation lasted really well with this little combo. This is the same brand as the foundation. So I do feel set, I don't feel dry. This laid down some product, but not in a really, really thick way. To me, it just feels like a very standard translucent powder. Here's another brand brought up to me that I needed to use according to you, Westman Atelier. I have just seen this countless times come up. I feel like it's been suggested to me so much in the little algorithm of Sephora's website, but I kept overlooking it because I just thought, you know, it's so pricey. So I thought, how am I going to try this? A lot of people said I should in my little survey. So I saw that they had a mini Petite Stix Clean Glow Trio, and this was available in 2 different shades. The lighter of the 2 trio options was sold out, but the deeper one still seemed totally workable. And it says it's our best-selling trio of contour, highlight, and blush sticks in petite travel-ready sizes. So these are smaller than full size. Ready for dewy, healthy looking skin. Okay, so we're gonna use these. I'm gonna see if I get like an experience that I like even better than, let's say, my Cosmetics sticks that I think are so good. So here's the one that's the bronzer. This is the Face Trace Contour Stick in the shade Truffle. So you do twist it up a little bit, even though it's this mini stick. Texture of the stick seems good. It seems soft, but it doesn't seem greasy. Let's go ahead and put this around. We're going to get our contour on, friends. I'm going to take my little Sephora number 56. I'm blending with a lot of ease, reminding me so much of the experience with the Cosmetics sticks, which price-wise, I didn't see what one of these is individually. Oh, there's a foundation stick too. That looks good. But the foundation stick's $68 on its own. This face trace stick would be $48 full size. I think you could really get a similar experience by trying the Cosmetics and save some money, but oh, it is nice. Isn't that pretty? Really nice tone. So I'm just buffing over it. I'm not pressing really hard. It's working with me. I got questions for those of you who use all cream products and no powder. Like, how does your look stay throughout the day? That's the thing. Like, I've sometimes toyed with the thought of, let's do an all cream look, and then I think, but how will it last? I guess I'm doing great in powder. Like, you can explain to me. I feel like my skin type would be okay with it though, probably, realistically. I'm not that oily. I just pretend like I'm really oily. Okay, then I got the Baby Cheeks blush stick in the shade Doo-Doo? D-O-U, D-O-U? Dow-Dow? Doo-Doo? I don't know, but it's a pretty color. Look at it. It's like this creamy berry shade. We're gonna use that. I'm gonna come up right in this region. Felt great gliding on. I'm gonna go with the same brush. Just do a little circular buffing. I don't want to be having to press too hard to blend in any creams. It's pretty pigmented, so I am working just a little bit, but wow. Wow, I like that color. A little bit berry. Super gorgeous. I don't know if that blush stick, maybe it's just the moisture in it. Felt like it had a lot of moisture. Maybe just slightly tougher to blend than the Cosmetics sticks, but all in all pretty similar. Wow, that's pretty. I like that shade. And then this trio also came with the Lit Up Highlight Stick in the shade Nectar. So this is kind of interesting. It seems more like a dewy glow stick. It's swatched right there. It takes the surface of your skin and gives it more of a dewy glow as opposed to a streak of shimmer. Okay, so let's show some of this. I'm just gonna do some swipes. Do you see what that did? It's got a little pinky peach tone, but it looks like you're just giving dew to the skin. It may have, like, I'm suddenly seeing a few more freckles there. I feel like that may be prone to ever so slightly breaking down a little coverage. It's got that moisture in it. As I swipe across the skin, I feel like I'm pulling at some stuff a little bit. But it's different. It's different from most any highlight stick I have in my collection. I remember e.l.f. briefly came out with something that was just like a dewy, glowy stick, and it kind of reminded me of this. But look how it's taken the surface of the skin and it's just making it look semi-wet. And to touch it, it does feel tacky. Wow. Okay. I kind of feel like I have the skin where if there were dust particles floating in the air, it would come in and it would stick to my skin. But these came in a cute little box. I think they're nice. I, again, don't necessarily feel like they're any better than Cosmetics. I'm still open to trying more from this brand. They've got some eye pods, like little eyeshadow stacks that I've seen repeatedly on Sephora's website. They've got a foundation stick that I'm kind of intrigued by. Let me know specifically like what products from this brand really are knocking your socks off. But I just thought that trio would be my best shot at trying as much as I could with the better value. I'm kind of going over my skin a bit now with the Beauty Blender, see if there's any excess that can be picked up there. Okay, so complexion brought to you by the LYS foundation, and we use that brand's powder too. We use the Rose Ink concealer, and then we use the Westman Atelier trio of sticks. And I'm feeling really tacky to the touch, especially there on top of the cheeks. So moving on to brows, I didn't get a specific brow fill-in thing, but I have a brow product, like a brow gel type deal from Rose Ink. I got a little trio of Rose Ink products outside of that concealer, so I'm just going to fill in briefly here with my Revlon Color Stay Brow Creator. This is the pencil, and then it has a little twist off area with the powder if you want to add extra. Okay, so I've gotten those all filled in, and I was looking online for the trio I bought, but it's sold out now. I think it was the thing that got marked down in a recent sale, so it probably did sell out, but they still have this individual product. I believe it's called the Brow Renew Clean Clear Eyebrow Growth Gel, and this is just the shade Fill 01, which doesn't have color, but there are some shades with tint available. And it says it's a clear brow gel that visibly volumizes and grooms for expertly shaped brows. It also strengthens brow hair with squalane and vitamin E. So it looks, if you can see a little bit there on the brush, it looks kind of creamy. Actually, like looks sort of white and creamy. And I'm just going to use this to help the hairs sort of stand up a bit. It's definitely helping provide some direction to the brow hairs. It doesn't really make me feel like, oh my gosh, that hold is in for the long haul, but it feels like I definitely put something in there. So see one brow versus the other, like I've got it kind of standing up. Go in for some fresh. See, there's a difference when you're using brow gels and feeling like the brow hairs got wet versus the brow hairs got something that's practically like hair gel or hairspray in them, you know what I mean? The hold does not seem next level, but it's doing something for sure. But it sounds like its goal is kind of to really be good to the hairs and help them be strong and healthy, so that's cool. I'm gonna apply some eyeshadow primer, and instead of using Milani, I will use my Milk. Milk is a brand that I saw brought up a ton in my little call out for brands that I've overlooked, but I feel like I've used Milk a pretty decent amount. Like, I've experimented with the Stix, and this goes years back. Their Kush lip balms were like Emily Award winners. I've played with this little eye primer, which I feel is not bad, but not quite as consistent as Milani for me, honestly. Does anybody else notice almost like a cream to powder feel with this? Like, it gets really, really smooth and not super tacky. Not as tacky as you'd think it would be with that Hydro Grip name, you know? Now, also in that trio of rose ink things, I'm not going to use this today, I don't think. Well, maybe I will, because this is actually a lip and cheek color in the shade Azalea, and it's a creamy product as well, so I don't necessarily need that on my cheeks, but I might add that to the lips. And then it came with a jumbo stick, also in the shade Quartz. So the model just looked like flawless, like just gorgeous, naturally gorgeous, with those products on. Again, it was this, and the brow gel were sold as a trio, but I don't think that's out there anymore, but I think those individual things still are. But the eye product that I wanted to use, a brand called Nabla, talk about just, I don't know how it was so overlooked by me, but this is a brand available at Ulta, and I just hadn't tried it. It was one of the most mentioned things on my What Brands Have I Overlooked survey, so I got an eye palette from them. This is called the Side by Side Nude palette, and I got it because on the website, and by the way, it feels really nice quality. There's a nice mirror in here, good size, but on the website it kind of looked like the Naked palette to me. It reminded me of the old original Naked palette, just to look at their like product images and swatches and stuff. Getting it home and in person, everything actually seems just a bit more vibrant. But we've got some matte, some shimmer that seems like it's going to be pretty vibrant, and this will be my very first time playing with this palette today, because I thought I was going to have to delay the whole video because this wasn't in yet, but then it came in yesterday, so I'm just like, I'll go with it. So let's see what this is all about. I'm going to take the shade called Halftime and apply that to my crease. Oh, that's a little more color than I was thinking it would be. Leaning out of my shot just a little too much, sorry. Camera likes to go out of focus when I'm not really well centered. Again, the shade called Halftime. Is it not coming off a little darker than you'd think? And by the way, I don't know that this palette is new at all. Like, I just looked through and I found something. Okay, so that's that shade right there in the crease. I'm going to use Bonjour and go up above a little bit. But feel free to let me know in the comments section with any of these brands, like, is there something specific that you really recommend? Because I think that LYS brand, that seems like really good stuff for the price paid, you know? Okay, so we're sort of like diffusing out this color even more. We started here with Halftime and then we went with Bonjour. Might take just a bit of rarity. Interesting to see the lightest matte down in that corner of the palette. Take a little bit of that right up under my brow. Very nice so far. I want to use some burnt sienna right here. Ooh, I'm really liking the way these mattes are working right now, because you might have noticed when I went into the color, no fallout, no kicking up a ton of powder, and easy blending. I want to try to really deepen this up now. I want to go down to this black and see what this is all about. This is Untitled Pure Matte Black. You can tell a lot about a brand's eyeshadow when you try their black. And I'm trying to let my brush get right up to the crease, and then I can do a little more blending, but I'm applying it over most of my lid. This is kind of reminding me of the dynamic that was happening with my look in the other video, where I used the ColourPop All Matte palette, and it was like really dark and cool on the lid, but it blended into warmth. I feel like that's what this palette is lending itself to as well. Now I want to use a little bit smaller brush. Haven't even put anything on it. but just help that black kind of work in the crease area. Maybe add a little more to my brush. I tapped off excess. There really wasn't any though. I really am pleased with the texture of the shadows for being just easy to work with, user-friendly, but yet very pigmented. Bubba's in a phase of waking up way too early. Like, I started this video and it was like 5:15 and he was crying. It's like he wakes up and he thinks it's time, you know? And some days are better than others. It can be kind of inconsistent. We're sort of moving around his bedtime a bit to see if that can extend his sleep, and it worked beautifully the first night, and now it's like, I don't know. It's really hard in the mornings, especially when I'm over here like trying to shoot a video and I have to stop and start again. Like when I dealt with him the first time, I texted Bub, I'm like, because Bub's doing a workout or I don't know what down in the basement. I'm like, can you just take the monitor down there and be ready for the next time? So a little more black was applied to that small brush, and what we've got here is a pretty darn like smoky look. I wanted to go a little richer on the lid for most of the lid space. And then I kind of like to see, just for my own satisfaction, I want to see the shade Tempera. As you can see, that's decently darker than the burnt sienna shade we were first kind of working with. And just going over the whole crease with Tempera. Really pretty. Really liking the way this shears out. And so far, just with all these mattes, I'm really fascinated by the consistency. You know, every shade seems to be the same. We don't have, you know, one shade that's a little more flaky than the others. While I love ABH shadows, and there have been some brilliant palettes put out by that brand, there are times where you don't know quite what you're going to be getting in for when you dip into the shadow. You know, some could be soft as can be, some could be a little more firm. The more consistent things are, the more, I think, even beginner-friendly the stuff can be. But I've had quite a bit of ease working with a black, and now working with the other mattes. And now we want to see what some of this shimmer is all about. What's this shade here called Better Society? It seems kind of shiny, like maybe a little more sheer than meets the eye. I want to try patting some of that on. Oh, like rose gold. That looks prettier than it did on my finger. Look at that little rose gold punch we're bringing in right here. I'm not saying the brush couldn't have pulled this off, but really pretty. That's really pretty. I actually love how that looks when it overlaps with the darker shade. Looking really nice. Remember for Christmas I got this slightly smaller flat brush from Morphe that has a little bit of a point. I think I'm going to go into Ray of Light, which is a smoother shimmer, not really like the fine sparkle, but more of a standard shimmer consistency, and just get that around my inner corner. That's this really, really soft, shimmery golden shade up top. Next, I think I'm going to take some of this shade called Clan up here, which is a very, very cool, kind of grayish brown. Hang on. It's hard, you guys. It's hard. What was I doing? Clan. This is my smudger brush from Sigma. I just want it like a little more pinpointed, and then something maybe a little more soft and smoky with it, too. Now I feel like I'm hearing somebody cry, and it's a phantom cry. I'm not really hearing crying. Sorry guys, this is stressful. It's like, it's so hard. He's 2 years old. It's hard to make them know when you're up, you're not really up. You're just waking, and then you need to be laying back down again. Then we're gonna go back to this nice deep warm brown and kind of smoke it around. See how I kind of softened it out a little bit? I like this palette. I'm impressed. From what I've used, this is only my first go around, but I think it's a really nice quality. And it does still, in some ways, give me kind of a Naked palette vibe a little bit, because some of the cool depth and then warmth as well. There's even some golds. We could have gone a totally different direction, but I love that rose gold. Sorry, lash or eyebrow hair. Rose gold shimmer there is so, so pretty. The richness of the black can give you just a smoky, like smoky eye intensity. You didn't steer me wrong, my friends. You did not steer me wrong. For my mascara, this was just a mascara I wanted to try for myself. It is a brand I've never used before, but I think it's fairly new, and nobody had really mentioned it in my survey, unless somehow I missed it. But this brand called Cali Ray, they have a tubing mascara called Come Hell or High high water. And I must say this lasted beautifully on upper and lower lashes yesterday. It says clean mascara, zero smudge, volumizing and curling. It took me a little time to get it built up, but like it wore pretty well. I'm going to do this without a liner today because number one, I don't have some new and different liner, and I think you can just see the mascara better without liner on. And the eye is plenty intense as it is. Get a nice curl going. I love the brush. It's like natural bristle, really short. Kind of reminds me of like Heart Lights Camera lashes, but maybe even shorter bristles. So it's really easy to control. And you can wiggle it in there and you can feel like you can push against your lashes just a little bit and not be like out of control with a giant bulbous brush. But there's like one quick coat. It's building faster today than it did yesterday. Maybe it just had to get some initial kinks worked out. 2 coats and I've got really nice length. A lot of people might be wondering, well, how does this compare to Thrive? I think it's pretty similar to Thrive, although Thrive became not 100% reliable at all times on my lower lashes. This one, I gotta say, I wore it yesterday. It didn't go anywhere. And I think this can look a little more dramatic than the Thrive on the upper lashes too. Okay, I'm gonna leave that be to kind of set a bit and I might come back for another coat. But yeah, staying power, amazing with this, amazing. And you know I've also got my trick of using Maybelline Lash Discovery Waterproof on the lower lashes. It's probably like 90% effective. Sometimes I can still have a little issue, but if I coat it with a coat of Estee Lauder Little Black Primer as kind of a seal, that totally helps. Although it kind of defeats the purpose of thinking, I've got a drugstore solution for the lower lash line, or lower lashes. It's pretty. It's giving me like kind of a big lash look for my lashes. And yes, I have still been using my Grande Lash, and yes, I do think I'm seeing some results from that now. I do think I'm feeling like some benefits are being reaped. And I feel like I can see it on my lowers as well, which is kind of odd. My lower lashes didn't need much help, but like some of that serum, like you put it on and then you go to bed, it must be drifting elsewhere in the eye area, because I feel like my lower lashes are definitely even longer than they were. But again, I was wearing this mascara with an even larger amount of that hydrating concealer on yesterday and no issues. No smudges, everything was fine. So that says a lot because it definitely had something emollient like right underneath to possibly pull some product where the lashes may have been touching the skin a bit. The things we ask of our makeup, you know, I'm just trying to get a little more separation out here. But the thing about my lashes is even though they may be getting longer, they still don't hold their curl any better. One of my thoughts was, you know, spend some time, use the Grande Lash, get your nice long lashes, and then go and actually get a lash lift done somewhere. And then, you know, you'll totally be able to enjoy the benefits all around. Like now you can see your longer lashes because they have a curl. That mascara, guys, I'm pretty darn pleased with it. Like this is something I could see myself reaching for if I want my lower lash to be slightly more thick and dramatic. I could put that there and trust it. And the tube is really pretty. Lip-wise, we've got a few different options. Like I said, we've got the rose ink stuff, which ultimately I think I will put that on. I also got from Tower 28, here's another brand highly recommended to me. I got the Shine On Lip Jelly in Cashew. Let me know what else from this brand you think is really worth trying, but I just thought I'll try a lip product because I was kind of covered by a lot of the complexion things and the eye stuff. Ooh, super thin. Cashew is a nice color there, toasty, nude. Sometimes you put even thin things on the lips and then as they wear a little bit, they sort of thicken up or become more, as I will say, one with the lips. This feels really hydrating. I gotta say my lips were very dry and just a little bit crusty when I put that on. But the color is super sheer. I'm seeing through to my natural lips, but it's tinting them with kind of a caramely look. More wear, more experimentation will be done with this, but that seems like a nice gloss. As I move it around, as I mush it into my lips a bit more, it's not feeling quite so slimy. I don't want to say this is greasy, but there's a thinness to this gloss that is just a little thinner than most glosses I like. Even thinner than a Pat McGrath or an ABH lip gloss, okay? But not bad. Definitely willing to dig further into that line, and also I just blinked down onto my lashes to kind of reinforce the curl, and I'm seeing them even more. We're gonna do the Rose Ink lip color in Quartz. This looked so pretty on the model, and I put this on yesterday too, and I just thought, wow, that's nice. Like natural rosy lips, kind of pillowy soft, you know, not overly shiny. This color is as fully pigmented though as any general lipstick. This is not like a lip balm. This reminds me of the shade of my college roommate's lips. Her lips were so, I know it's a long time ago, but her lips were so naturally rosy at all times. And I just thought she was so lucky with that. And it looked like this kind of a shade almost, like it was that nice and rosy. I like that. I like that. Now, since we always do a little blush touch up at the end, let's use the Azalea shade here from Rose Inc. So very creamy, extremely like dewy, lots of moisture in that, okay? Lots and lots. This is a lip and cheek color that would definitely lend itself to being a lip color on the cheeks. Man, I mean, be ready for some pigment, I say, because that is rich, not sheer in any sense of the word. I'm just gonna blend it into the cheek a bit. Oh, pretty. More pinky, less berry compared to the Westman Atelier blush stick shade. This might have a little more warmth in it overall, but we're just tapping that in. I feel like we have a very sweet and innocent face going on, and then the eye is like, yeah, smoky, smudgy. Like you glance at this and you think, oh, is this just gonna be like a ColourPop blush? No, tons of moisture, tons of rich creaminess, densely colored, not sheer at all. Cute little compact, by the way. What if I added just a little bit of that? It's super on par with the shade of the lip color that comes in that set, actually. Maybe just a little darker. Neaten up the hair for the finished look. Oh, no. Hair. This was a ton of fun to try out some of these different products from brands that you guys are loving. You know what I'm seeing though from all the dewiness on the skin? We see the little like cheek shelf right in here where, you know, things go inward a bit here. We're not perfectly like a super flat plane. And when this is catching light, you see kind of that cheek shelf a little bit more. I'm totally making up that term. I don't know that that's a thing, but like I can see it and I don't really want to see it. So I'm going to try to just mattify this area. It's not quite under eye, it's not quite cheek. It's the land in between. See how it's different now? Now it looks smoother, but it was catching the light so much because there's just so much moisture in the skin. But this foundation, very like natural looking, pretty looking on the skin. It gives me that immediate satisfaction of pretty looking skin. I think you guys have seen me use foundations where I'm just kind of put it on and I'm like, okay, it doesn't really give me a reaction. It doesn't give me like a wow. This I thought looked really beautiful on the skin, and it's definitely much less money than a lot of the other things on Sephora's website. And this concealer for hydration really wowed me. I think you can get by with very, very little of it. Build it a bit if you need to, but I thought it was nicely brightening. Set it a little bit with the powder. This powder is kind of like, a lot of different things are doing what this powder does. I don't see it as wow, oh my gosh. I had some blush sticks this year that I was extremely impressed by. They were the M Cosmetics blush sticks. These, while the highlighter was unique, I'm glad I got it, glad I tried it. It was kind of the weakest link of these for me because it just took the surface of my skin and made me a little more dewy than I wanted to be. Okay, so that's just personal preference there. Some of you might have seen that going on and think, that's the highlight I've been looking for all my life. But for me, I felt a little bit like over tacky. I really like the tone and the blendability of the blush and the contour stick. However, I think the M Cosmetics is every bit as good, if not maybe a little bit creamier. A little bit more ease in blending, perhaps. The stuff from the Rose Inc Trio was nice. I really like this lip color and the finish of it. I think this is a really neat product as well for lips and cheeks. Because it's so creamy, it can be super effective for both. The little brow thing, kind of take it or leave it. Really the best Rose Inc thing that I tried was this. The best LYS thing of just the two was the foundation. So foundation and concealer, kind of top products here. Oh, also this. Really like this mascara that I can count on that can build up some kind of thick looking lashes, and I can trust it on the lower lashes too. Tower 28 to be continued. I'd like to try a little bit more from this brand. Let me know what I should try. But this palette, this eye palette was gold. I loved it. It is neutral, and we think, gosh, we already got those shades somewhere, probably do. But this configuration does give me old school Naked palette vibes, and I was so pleased with the consistency of the mattes. Very easily blendable. I mean, I worked with a black in there and I was able to sheer it to a place that felt really nice on my eyes. And then we used a couple textures of shimmers, one that was almost a sheer wash of rose gold glimmer, and then something that was more like a traditional feeling shimmer. Again, first time using it, but really liking it. So thank you guys so much for contributing your thoughts and your suggestions for this video, making it come together for me. I've definitely discovered some cool new things, and like I said earlier, I could easily do a round two. So thanks for your time, everyone. I love you, and I'll see you soon. Bye.